I don't like the idea of selling someone something that they maybe don't need. But I also know that if you're a salesman, like you can't think that way.
Yeah.
You find a way to make them need it. And then
Yeah.
you validate it in your head like you did them a favor, which sometimes you do, and
Yeah.
sometimes you don't. And then you got to live with that, man.
That's true. Yeah.
When I stopped selling cars, I haven't told this story a lot. Definitely haven't told it publicly, but I'll tell it now. I sold a car, and I sold cars at different dealerships, so I won't say the name of the dealership. But I sold this old man a car. They came in. It was one of those guys where not a lot of people like to talk to old people. When old people comes in, they're like, oh, like, I don't like you go do it.
You don't want to deal with it. Yeah.
Not me. I liked it because
Yeah.
in my head, I'm like old people like or probably have better credit, like different things like that. And so I didn't mind it. And so this older gentleman came in one day, veteran, really cool guy, telling me all of this like how when he served and he had the hat and everything, and he was like, I need a car and like nothing's like fancy. I need a basic car. And so I found like this really nice car. Spend probably like 2 or 3 hours. It's a long process selling a car, buying a car. However you look at it. So I hung out with him, super cool guy. He traded in a car. And then to get like a mini SUV is what it is. I don't want to say what it was.
Okay.
So go through the whole process, sell him the car. I'm like, hey, take care, sir. Goodbye. Leave him. Go home. We'll call him Fred, just for the point of the story. And then so the next day I come in, and I came in at 10 that day. The dealership's been open since 8. And so when I walk in, I look over at the other side of the dealership and I see him. And they're like, hey, Will, your customer's here. Good luck. And I'm like, dang it. Like, he didn't like the car.
Sound good.
Yeah. And then he comes up to me, or I go up to him, and I was like, hey, Fred. And he goes, hey, I'm waiting for someone to help me out. Like, do you know, can you get someone? And I'm like, well, what's going on? Like, what's going on with your car? And then I started realizing through talking to him, he didn't know who I was.
Oh, what? Yeah. I mean, obviously.
He didn't know me. And so I started catching on to little things. I'm like, Fred, like, do you remember, like, what, like, what the heck? And then I started realizing this guy has, like, Alzheimer's, and he doesn't remember me at all.
Like
He ends up telling me, hey, man, I woke up this morning and walked out to get my car. My car wasn't there. This car was here.
Oh.
And the way he figured it out was the license plate on the front had the dealership name on it.
Oh,
And so he was like, I better drive it back to the dealership. So he drove to the dealership, and he was telling me, like, hey, man, I don't know where my car is, but I need my car back. And I was like, what? And it turns out the car that he traded in was his wife's car who had passed away, and it was like his last memory of her.
Oh, God.
And I was like, oh, Jesus. And so I was like, all right. So I went and told my boss, I'm like, hey, Fred's back. Like, hey, he doesn't remember buying the car. And then my boss was like, oh, well, he bought a car. And I was like, no, man, like, that's messed up.
Yeah.
And then he goes, no, we don't do unwinds here. And I'm like, dude, he can't remember he bought a car. He was like, well, just tell him to go home and he'll forget. You know what I mean? Like, and he'll just keep the car. And I was like, what? And I was like, dude, I'm not telling him that. I'm like, if you want to tell him that, you tell him that. And he did. Manager comes out, tells him. The guy goes, oh, that's my car? And he goes, yeah, it's your car now. Just go home. And he's like, all right. And just went home.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, God, I felt like crap about myself, dude. I really did. And then I go home.
But I mean, like, why would you feel? I mean, yeah, I would feel bad.
Well, it gets worse.
That. Oh, wow.
So I come back the next day, and guess who's at the dealership? Fred. Same exact thing. It's like 51st dates, dude.
Wow.
From hell. And he was like, hi, I'm Fred. And I woke and he told me the same exact story. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, like, I can't do this. And I went and told him, and I'm like, dude, just send him home.
Yeah.
So they had me send this guy home for like a week. And he just kept showing up. Yes, he kept showing up. And I finally told my boss, I'm like, hey, man, we got to get this guy his car back. Like, this doesn't seem right. It's not legal to sell someone a car who's not of sound mind. If someone comes in and they're drunk, we can't sell them a car.
Yeah.
If someone comes in and they show signs that they're mentally unstable, we can't sell them a car because you can't legally sign a contract if you're not of sound mind. And so I told them, I'm like, dude, you guys need to unwind this car. Like, you need to take it back and get him his car back.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we can't. And I remember thinking, like, dude, this isn't even worth a sale. I think I made like $150 off the sale, which is not a lot of money for one sale. It's a mini.
Yeah.
And like, I went back to my boss and I told him, like, hey, man, like, I can't do this, man. Like, I can't, like, if you don't get this guy's car back, I'm going to have to say something.
Yeah.
Because he's not of sound mind.
Yeah,
I'll
you'll
get.
have to
I'll,
report it to somebody.
I said, I'll go take this guy to an attorney. Like, I don't care, man.
Yeah,
Like, this guy's a veteran, man. Like, he just needs his car back.
yeah.
Dude, it turns out they sold the guy's car that he traded in. They took it to auction.
Why didn't they tell you that in the first place? That
Well, because
they had already.
they don't want to unwind the car. The dealership, it was the end of the month, and so it was a new month.
Yeah.
And to unwind a car from the previous month that they've already sent over to the dealers, like the main dealer.
I understand that, but why didn't like your boss tell you like, hey, we already sent it over to the auction? Like,
Well, I think at first they hadn't.
okay.
And then like he eventually, like he probably wanted to send it to the auction.
Yeah.
And so like I raised hell, and I told him, like, dude, I'm gonna help this guy get an attorney. Like you know, what you guys are doing is wrong.
Mhm.
I knew that I wasn't gonna work there anymore, and so I talked to. We got his car back, by the way. They ended up not selling at auction because I pretty much told my boss, I'm like, hey, if I'm gonna help him get a lawyer, and I'm also gonna vouch for him because I am of sound mind, and this isn't okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, they told the main guy who told the other main guy.
Mm-hmm.
They end up going to the auction, and the car's still there.
And they got the car
They
back.
brought the car back, and we unwound it and got it back for him. And I was so happy walking this old guy back to his car. And then I think
How did your boss feel about you after that?
well, I didn't really give a shit, man. I think at that point I was already mentally checked out, and I think he knew it. It didn't give me a good name, but it was like it was when I see my boss. There's 3 sales managers, so
Yeah.
I would just take my deals to a different manager.
To somebody else.
Yeah, and I think I literally worked there for like a week. I started applying for new jobs, which is the job I have now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the job, and then I quit, man.
Yeah.
I'm done with this, dude. Because I knew through doing that, I care way more about helping people than I do selling them a car.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I would ever go back for that reason. I enjoyed it. If I ever had to, I would feel good about it. I would try to do it ethically.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just stuff like that. That's one person in a small town, dude. That type of stuff happens all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I believe that happens a lot. Yeah.
Yes, I don't want to be that person, dude. I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I believe like your boss was trying to say like, no, we're not going to give it back. Like different people have like different, I guess, I don't know if you call them morals or like.
Yeah, it's for sure a moral issue. That one is for sure.
Yeah.
Because people make mistakes. It wasn't like I sold him a car knowing he didn't have his memory, right?
Yeah.
This is part of forgiveness, right?
Yeah, you thought he was
my intent. Yes, but then when he came in, my only regret is that I didn't do something sooner. And I definitely would have beat myself up for years had I never gotten his car back.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's my only regret. But other than that, I didn't sell him a car with bad intent. And honestly, I don't think the managers did either. It was an easy deal. He wanted a new car. He came in asking for a new car. Yeah. Had he been of sound mind, I would have told him. Had he been of sound mind, come back.
Like you went to his house and was like, "Hey, you want to come buy a new car?"
Which we did do, by the way, as salesmen. We straight up went to people's houses. How much is your, like, I noticed your car out front. Have you thought about trading? We've
so
done that.
You guys were like Jehovah's Witness,
but
like
for
going
cars.
from door to door?
Yeah. We were like Honda's witnesses.
Wow.
No, but like, yeah, it wasn't like I did that. Had he been of sound mind and came back and said, "Hey, I don't want this car anymore," I think I would have told him, "Hey, we had an agreement, man. You came in, you shook my hand, you bought a car, you own the car now. Be a man and ride your car, right?" Because I also think that's a real thing too.
Yeah.
But as soon as he came in and I realized it wasn't of sound mind, I'm like, dude, I gotta fix this, man. But that's for sure a moral thing because they could have had the opportunity when I went and told him that. Oh, dang it, that's wrong. We should switch this. But they're thinking about money, man. And it's the pressure of a sale. It's like that boss needs to do. It's hard work to unwind a car. Plus, they're like, maybe we needed to sell 60 cars that month, and maybe that was the 60th car.
Yeah.
And so unwinding that car meant we had 59, so the dealership only pays you for 50, a bonus for the 50th.
Yeah.
So the 9 extra cars were bonus.
I'm sure they probably like keep track of like unwinds, like you said, like they keep track of cars that.
And I think you have a certain window that you can still unwind it for that month. So I think it would have cost the dealership so much. Sometimes it's thousands of dollars. Like sometimes the bonus is like 20,000. Like if you sell 59 cars, then you don't get a bonus, right? I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a bonus, but if you get that 60th car, not only did you make money on all 60 cars, but the owner of the dealership, whether it's Ford, Chevy, Subaru, whatever, they'll pay you like an extra 20 grand. Not me, the salesman, but the dealership for hitting that 60th car. And then maybe they'll like whatever it is. So you hit bonuses. So like
they'll break you off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
Yeah.
You know?
So maybe that month they needed it, and then they knew that like they couldn't. Whatever reason, it just wasn't a good one.
Yeah.